I think it's worth pointing out. I mean, I think it's a huge part of Bhagat Singh's relationship to Sikhism is his commitment to Shahidat, and this the martyrdom remains at the core of his political belief, is very much indebted to Sikhism, and has an incredibly vibrant tradition within Sikhism. So in some ways, his commitment to Shahidat is very much a re-articulation of his commitment to Sikhism. The way that he reimagined Shahidat, the way that he reimagines martyrdom in the context of rethinking doubt and rethinking atheism, is that his martyrdom is an end unto itself, right? So unlike, perhaps departing from other ways of thinking Shahid, where one's death matters after it, and you have some sort of transcendent control over the future of yourself, Bhagat Singh is very, very clear that at the moment he dies. And although that moment is a moment for him of martyrdom, it's not one of transcendent martyrdom. It's one of very much of that moment. So that's a really exciting way that he thinks, or he rethinks, or is trying to rethink this kind of collaboration of, he's trying to think secularism or atheism very, very much in line with a commitment to Sikhism. And I think that Shahidat, I think that martyrdom really stands at the core of that and shows how he's doing that.
It's interesting how he's, I guess, not reimagining it, but trying to think of how it plays a role in what he's doing, because obviously, like, that is the central role to Sikhism. And then so for him, view it as just that's the end of it. In itself is, I guess, to some degree, that also kind of is a continuation to some of, actually, because the motivating factor for Shahidi per se is just the act. It's not about the reward, if that makes sense. Or there is no reward, like, as in, you're not doing it for X or Y. And so it's just interesting to see how he then applies those concepts in a world that we're still inhabiting, because then that raises very interesting questions about, actually, well, how do you implement that type of philosophy, that type of outlook in today's world? And yeah, I guess we could leave it at that open-ended question.
I think the way that you put it was absolutely right. I mean, I think it's very much a question of, martyrdom is a value in and of itself, not a value accrued after the fact.
Yeah.
And I think that's what it's saying. It's really energizing that tradition.
Because it's not a reward, isn't it? It's not like, I guess in some Judeo-Christian traditions, you have this idea of, like, so if I die, I'm going to heaven, and if I do X, I'm going to get this and whatever, and this and that. That doesn't exist in the same way in the East, and it definitely doesn't exist in that concept of Shahidi within Sikhi, because the goal is just the goal, like, as in, death is death. And I think also the issue there is that the concept of death and the understanding of death in the East, and especially within the Sikh tradition, is radically different to, I may be incorrect here, but radically different to anything that I've seen coming from Judeo-Christian traditions in terms of, like, of just their understanding of it. And it's amazing to then see how Bhagat Singh, at such a young age, is trying to understand how that actually works, because we can theorize it, we can discuss it, but he's actually saying, well, all right, like, what if I actually do it?
He is facing death at that moment, right? So he doesn't have no other choice, right? I mean, the kind of closer reference, especially for Shahid, is Islam. I mean, and again, this is Shahid, martyrdom receives its reward after by the life that one will be given after death. That is the logic of Shahid within Islam. That's not the logic of Shahid within Sikhism, and I think, that's how I think, I think that's why Bhagat Singh is bringing this question of atheism to very much in conversation with Sikhism, not as opposites, but actually as a way of thinking what martyrdom means in and of itself.
Yeah, and that's interesting, because actually Shahidi within an Islamic context is theism, in the sense that there has to be a God for the reward, whereas we're just saying that actually those questions don't even matter. It's actually just about the act, which in of itself is divine. Like, that's it.